we're going to try to do this mission again and see if we can do some justice for it. Okay. Parak Vav Mishnah Zion. We're going to do it again inside, and then they will get to understanding. Erev Mikvaot Shishveres Hanot. What does the word Erev Mikvaot mean? I guess we're going to come to understand that shortly. Erev Mikvaot Shishveres Hanot. Ka'ovyo v'chalala, which means the thickness and the chalal of it. You have two fingers that you do like that with them. Some shveres hanoid, safek enen shveres hanoid, psula mipnei shehi min ha'torah, v'chein gezayis min ha'meis, gezayis min ha'nevela, chadosh min ha'sheretz. Okay, next. Kol sheyamo b'shveres hanoid, ben Gamliel omer kol shehu b'brias hamayim tohar. As long as it's from Brias Hamayim, it's tahor, and it doesn't bother us if it's there, as long as it was created from the water. Now, I'd like to, Parrots, could you get us that briskerov? Could you?
We were doing last week. Okay. Yeah. Let me pull it up here.
Blow off the dust.
Huh? Bemet.
Blow off the dust.
Bemet. I put it here. I even sent it to someone afterwards.
Okay. Well, I'll just read it for you. We're gonna do this and the reply.
Let me find where I put it first, and then.
I could create it again.
Oh wait, I got it in an email from you, so I can just get it from there. Okay, I'll get it.
What was it? It was the Grizz?
The Grizz, yeah.
Okay, I got something here.
All right, I guess we'll skip it.
Yeah, well, I'll get it in a minute.
Okay, fine.
I've been warned
All
about.
Right. I'm gonna. We learned last week inside. We saw Taisus. We saw. Yeah, get that. Should have a whole body, I guess. Taisus in Gittin brought 2 days to Das Rabbeinu Tam and the Ri as to whether you need to have the whole Sheferes Hanod full with water, or you just have to have the Sheferes Hanod whole and water going through. That was the machlokes between the two. So the simple understanding of that is, I'm not sure I know what the simple understanding is, but let's say Rabbeinu Tam says you have to have a breach in the wall that has a Sheferes Hanod, and that, so to speak, is mabatel the wall, but you have to have some kind of water going through. That's great. Okay. So we're going to start from the bottom of the first column. We'll start from over there.
Whoops.
Vihine. Whoa. Where'd we go?
I'm here.
Make it larger. Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Vihine. Taisus Yavam Misham Megittin Daf Zayin. Hikshu al Haditnan Ervik Murosh Vers Adnoy. I but nan betires mashket aveach eno chibur letayra al tefech latviach chibur. Apochas min b'shver sanar. All you need is tefech amanas latviach, and this isn't even a klipas hashum. This is a very small amount. Betirtzu b'sher Rabbeinu Tam, the nekev b'ino shveres hanod. You need to have that the whole be a shveres hanod. Avamayim habol letoch hanekev sai b'tefech latviach. So there's two different subjects. When you want to have a connection to the water, you really need to have just a tefech amanas latviach. Vabir bozeh. Hare hadu v'inan shir d'shveres hanod le'inyan irov. Hainu dafka hecha dika hefsik mechitza. We have over here a problem that there's a mechitza separating two different places. The nechshavu kishnei mikvos. She'em b'chol echad mehem kishir. Each one doesn't have a shir. Avo b'lo hefsik mechitza. If there's no hefsik mechitza, kaimon the sagi b'kolshu, just with the fech amanas latfiach. In other words, you just have to connect the waters. You don't have to connect the places, so that it's enough a kolshu. Ukedetnam b'mikvos Mishnah Aleph. Churiyam Iris, look at Myra, Matlamek Moshe. The Gam Bekolshu Hashim Murovim. As long as it's just a mashu of connection, that's all you need. Rak Hecha Deika Hefsik Mechitza Asham, Hu the Nemra Halacha the Ir of Mikvah Shres Hanoi. Where do you need to have the halacha of Shres Hanod? That's where you have Mechitza problem. Okay, and so Rabbeinu Tam, the Ikir Shir Bazeh Hu Ala Nekev. The subject is you have to take care of the mechitza. How do you take care of the mechitza? When you have a hole in the mechitza, which is big enough, I'll use the term to function, and so I saw this actually this week, to pour. What does that mean, to function, to pour? The node was a flask that you carried around to drink. And it seems that they used to have some kind of, I guess what we would call a funnel in order to fill up the node. So the nekev of shveres hanod means the way you would fill it up. So that was some way that size was the size of the standard for pouring drinks from one place to the other. So it actually symbolizes the idea of liquids. This is not a pun. Liquids that are fluid. Okay, liquids that are going from one place to the other. So when you have a hole, so we have a space that liquids that are fluid can go from one place to the other, so that negates the hole from being there, and the water connects the two. That's Rabbeinu Tam Shita. V'kol sheyesh b'nekev shveres hanoid hareim chashuvim k'mikvah achas v'ayidei ha'chnekev v'mechabram. Aval mayim atzmo nekev shiuru b'tefech lachni asagi. You don't have any special amount of water, even tefech ha'manas latfiach will be enough. V'zeu shita Rabbeinu Tam. Ulam ri b'toytze sham polag Rabbeinu Tam. The salvar, the nekev molimayim be'inon, you need to have that the whole hole is full of water. Shamayim ha'atzmam yesh shveres hanod. You need to have fluid connection of a shveres hanod, an interaction between the two water sources of a shveres hanod. Now, these words that I'm using are very important because we're going to come back to them in a later state of explaining the Mishnah. Here comes the brisker Hakira in Shittas Rabbeinu Tam. Again, what is Shittas Rabbeinu Tam? That it's not enough to have a hole that's a shveres hanod. You have to have the hole full of water. This is the question. The Shittas Rabbeinu Tam Divina Gam Maim Shveres Hanod Imu Mishum the Sover the Kol Yisod Achshiyur the Shveres Hanod Al Maim Nemar. The shir was said about you have to have water, fluid, going from one place to the other, a shveres hanod amount. The yidei shir maim shveres hanod ma'arvi, where you'll have so much water flowing from place A to place B, so then it gets mixed, the two waters, the two places. Oh, the name of the Vade Gabriel agrees. Iker Yesodai shir shveres hanod nema nekev. He also agrees that the Iker shir of shveres hanod is on the whole, below alamayim. And it really has nothing to do with the water. Just like a Rabbeinu Tam. So why then do you need water? That's the $1 million question. A non-functioning hole is not a hole. Okay, anybody want to take a shot at explaining that? Oh,
It's not enough just to have a hole. It has to be mamish, a working hole where the water actually goes through.
because
Just to have a
otherwise,
hole, just to have a hole by itself, just to have a shveres hanod by itself, is not.
very good. Okay, so is that move on to everybody? This idea? Okay, very good. Now I lost my place. It's like it's not in the mikvah. The loy mitzvah didn't hear him. Rak neged shesh b'chalalo mayim hu demol mashri eru. V'mishum hochi hu debe'ilan gam mayim sheveres hanoid. Aval ikar shiura is again in the nekev. But if you're not going to have a functioning nekev, we don't see the wall as breached. Yisai dina hu demesharim b'nekavim b'chulu. V'nir bazet mevur lahedya the hadit nam mikvah mishnates. That it's harmful if you have the zul arum klipas hashum aroicha shveres hanod on the top. If you're going over the top, you don't need to have a shveres hanod. Why not? Because there you're above the wall. In other words, there's no need to have above the wall. You have to knock down the wall. Do porot shom, it's already open. The melu sagi v'kol shehu v'day ne'amayim atzof lagav klipas hashum. Agav, I just will tell you that I don't really know the answer to the question that I was hoping nobody was going to ask me. But now that nobody asked me, I'll tell you I don't know the answer to the question. What is the difference between when do you say klipas hashum and when do you say tefech hamanas latfiach? Now we started off saying that as far as the waters to connect, all you need is tefech hamanas latfiach, and for some reason over here he says klipas hashum. I'm not really sure the answer to that question. Okay, if you're on top, just with shveres hanod. Obviously, it has to have to do with the mechitza aspect. All right. That's the briskerov. So far, we already understand that we have to attack what we call the mechitza. That's the issue that we have to attack. All right, now we're going to go and just see Reb Chaim. Parents, could you service us that Reb Chaim? Page 84. Wherever you got that one from, it's right next to it. Okay, we're going from the top of the page. We don't have to start from the top of the page. We could start from the middle. Gam haich. Yeah, that's about there. About there. Let's start from the first words. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go from the beginning because it'll be relevant for us elsewhere in Mikvos. V'hina yesh lo b'biri asugya. V'hina, harei hikshu b'tois hasham, the ech kamar gemara the tefech latviach chibor l'inyan Mikvos. How can you say that tefech hamanas latviach is a chibor? Halo kaimel on the ear of Mikvos shveres hanod, v'lo sagi with tefech latviach. V'hine b'mikvos perek vov tnan mikvah elyon min atachton ketza maybe silon moshku and you connect the two. V'ayim barashom shehik shalo ev mikvos shveres hanod. V'ech tnan shedai that it's kishara dai. But here it's the inyan tyrus sheiva shehim rabban nekilu, which we're going to learn a lot about that today. V'lechay tzachin din hashaka nemar gam the inyan tyrus ma'amim tmeim. Hashaka works to be metaher ma'amim tmeim. You have Maim Tameim, you touch them to the mikvah, and it's good enough. Zeo din daraisa. V'imkein amayloi shabinon b'zeh v'anavinu b'zeh shveres hanoid. The ein loymar the hach din shveres hanoid le'nemar rak le'yin din mikvah. The din of shveres hanoid isn't a special building mikvah shear. Aval the inyan din tyrus maim tameim ha'idei hashokol or sheichach din shveres hanoid. It's not true. Why? Zriya works because it's also like a mikvah. The mikvah mam yetar. And came over the head of Pesachim. The vias maim shebekarka toyer mishum the chazi likubal machtir etzayrus. That did the entire samaim shebekarka urak b'revias the hushir mikvah. So whenever you want to be metaher water, anything you have to have what's called a mikvah. It said didn't it tar ma'idei hashaka mishum chem matunasa mitzvah. They become part of the mikvah. V'imkein like ikar dinoi who did b'mikvah. V'imkein hatzach liyas was that din of the ear of mikvahs, and you should hear shveres hanod. This is the part which is in the gap. Right? Until now, Rav Chaim was trying to prove that whenever you have a mikvah, you need shveres hanod. No, that's all wrong. It's not a mikvah dikadin. There are gam kiddush mechatos. Ikahach shiura that you need shveres hanod. As it says, shtei shukos shebe'even achas kodesh v'chulu. Okay, they have to have this halach. Harela had it achshir shveres hanod who didn't be kol haTorah kula. The im yesh shveres hanod chashivi murabim yachad. Im kein otzarchin the ma'ishal le'yin hashakol lo b'in shveres hanod. If you need to have a shveres hanod, when do you say shveres hanod? When do you say klipas hashum? Okay, so we already saw for the briskerov part of an answer. The trei shiurei dinin nifradim ninu minat Torah b'kol haTorah kula. There are two totally different dinim. One is a din iruv, and two is a din chibur. Okay, so we would have thought that those two things are synonymous. So going to explain, they're not synonymous at all. Din tafeach latfiach hu shir b'din chibur. That's how we could say two things are attached. But if you need to have Eruv, we didn't yet say what Eruv is. But if you need to have Eruv, then you need Shveres HaNod. Zel din Eruv mikvot Shveres HaNod, b'shum de letzarfei shtei mikvot. Yachad, shi chashuvim chad mikvot, v'yeh b'hem shira de memsa, lo sagi b'din chibu levad, ma shamayim mechubarim zel hazeh, because you have to have, not that the waters are one, we have to have that the places are one. What did we learn in the Briskerov? We learned in the Briskerov that we have to break down the wall. And the question is, how do you break down the wall? Why are we breaking down the wall? Because we want to create one place. We have to create one place. So therefore, in that situation, we have to create one place. In other words, you have a mikvah of 20 and another mikvah of 20. So how does it work? Because they have a shveres hanod between them. How does it become one place? I'm not sure I understand it after Reb Chaim. Sheffer, you want to take a stab? Shlomo?
I mean, the water flowing through is not enough.
It's. I think the answer is that water flowing through is enough to do what?
To make it as if each one is a kosher mikvah.
I would say the water flowing through makes it that they're not separate. So it's all one.
So in other words, exactly what the Briskerov said. What it does is that it's mevatel the mechitza. Right? In other words, what you're going to have, what you're going to have is you're going to have it knocked out. You're going to have the mechitza knocked down. So now, even though you have two mikvois, one of 20 and another one of 20, but if they have such a connection between them, so it's keilu that there's no wall between them. If you just have the waters attached, that's not enough to make it into one place. Yeah? You do me a favor, Ari, you can do me a favor? Sheffer, you wanted to say something?
I don't understand why it's not enough.
What is it? What is it?
The last sentence you said, I didn't understand.
I said if you have the water touching, so I can understand that makes the water tahor. But the question over here is, I have two mikvois, one has 20, one has 20. Because the water's flowing from one to the other, how does it create that I have a mikvah of 40?
Because they're connected.
So I have two places that are connected.
Yes,
Does it make it into one place?
yes. That's called Me'urav.
No,
They're
that's not
merged.
called. What?
Murav is more than connected.
What is more than connected?
Murav is more than connected for sure.
What is it more than connected?
There's an interaction taking place instead of just touching.
So what I understand is that if you have so much interaction between two sides, so then the wall becomes irrelevant.
Could, yeah, it's possible.
There is no wall.
There is no wall.
Because
Okay.
because they're Me'urav, there is no wall. It disappears.
In other words, it's not functioning to separate them.
It's not there. Yes, exactly.
Now, but if you would have just a small hole, even though there could be some amount of, theoretically, if you would have, that's great. So if you'd have a hole that's a third that size, even though they would end up having the same water level, but there's not enough interaction for me to say that it's one place. Right? There's an amount of interaction that's necessary. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's the, all right. I'm going to stop over here. We can really go further, but I want to, those are you saw that I wanted to share with you. Now let's
Does it have
go
to be that the water actually does connect or it can connect?
Yeah, this picture where it's above the water level,
It's below the water level.
it's
Above the
it's
water
below.
level.
It looks like it's
Oh,
above.
yeah, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, right. It's above the water level. Yeah, this is nothing. This is wishful thinking.
So I'm saying it actually has to connect. It's not that it can connect.
That's according to Rabbeinu Tam. He's the maker, just has to connect at the bottom
How
of that.
far does the water have to go up? To the line above the hole?
So according to Rabbeinu Tam, just on the bottom. Yeah, till there. And according to the Re, it has to go to the top. Till there. No, where you go? Yeah, till there. And that's what the Brisker was Masber. He says that if it only goes to the little bit, so then it didn't knock down the wall. In order to knock down the wall, you have to have that size. According to Rabbeinu Tam, the Brisker was Masber, once you have a hole in the wall that symbolizes interaction, even if it's just a trickle going from one to the other, that's enough. That's the Brisker. That's the Brisker. And this is a very bad problem. So I mentioned last week, I'm mentioning it again. You go into the mikveh and you see that the water level is not covering that whole hole. You have a problem, because according to some Mefarshim, when you're going to go, and this happens many times, what happens is when you go into the mikveh, so the water level rises because a person displaces the water, and the water goes out that hole. According to some poskim, though it's a meat of the poskim, it's called zoichalin.
Wait,
So why isn't this hole made lower in the mikvah so that you don't have a problem like that?
That's an excellent question.
I assume the mikveh wasn't full yet in this picture.
Well, that I would imagine they didn't want to take a picture when it's underwater. It's like hard to take a picture like that. Right? There's a glare going to be, I would imagine. But I don't know exactly. I'm not but the bottom line is there's a question, and this is, if you go to many mikvos, you'll see that there's a cup that they put on this, a plug that they put on it.
Right.
And that's because they don't want there to be a water exchange the whole time. They want it to connect for 1 second and then stop with the connection. And if it would be on the bottom, yes, it's true, it would help. But there's a different problem. Well, we have to know exactly what would happen to the water that's inside that other, behind the wall when you empty the mikveh. What's going to happen to it?
But what's the difference if someone goes in the mikveh, it raises the level? What's the difference between that or putting a cork in it afterwards? As long as it's connected for 1 second, then it's connected.
No. So no, the answer to that question is that the water is tahor water. So we have a different problem that it can't be zeichel. Even if I have a mikveh that's a kosher mikveh made up by God Himself, but if it's zeichel, then it becomes puzzle.
Why is it zeichel?
Because when the person tovels, it goes out.
Isn't it always zochel then?
No, because it stays within the same mechitzas. just rises.
But it just connects to another kosher, another mikvah. So what's the difference?
No, it only connects to a kosher mikvah if the whole hole is full. If the water level, move that arrow up. Move that arrow up.
Yeah.
Up, higher, higher, higher. Yeah. If the water level will be to there, even when you go into the mikvah, it's going to force water in. I don't care because then you have irug mikvahs. It doesn't make a difference. It's considered one place. It didn't move anywhere. But if it's only go down, parrots, go down. There, stop. Go up and drop. Higher, higher. Yeah. If you do it to there, and now when the person toivels, it go a little bit more. Goes to there, then you have a problem with schila.
Wait, but isn't there a 40 more than 40 son to mikvah?
The 40 saw, even if a person has a full kosher mikvah, but if a person will make it that now the water is leaving, then it has a psul of schila, not a psul of whether it's a, you can have a mikvah.
The schila is only on a small fraction of the water. You have the 40 sitting
I want to tell you something. You're 100% right. Let me give me these. I want to read to you halacha and Shulchan Aruch, the fascinating halacha. Let's see if I find it right now. A lot of times you have, let's say, for argument's sake, let's say this was a hole that was a drain. There's no mikvah on the other side. Yeah? Okay, this hole where that arrow is, it's going out to the street. It's not going to any other place. No other mikvah, anything like that. And the water level, it's a plug, and the water level, put your arrow up. Parrots go up 2 inches, higher, higher. The water level right now is up to there. So the water is actually draining. Right now the water is draining because it's all going out that hole. And a guy takes a dunk in and he goes all the way to where we see the water level over there. He goes all the way to the bottom. He goes still here. He goes to there. So he goes lower than where the water is exiting. You understand what I'm saying? You people with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So according to many poskim, it's not a good tefillah because it's called that he toiveled in zeichelim, even though he toiveled below the zeichelim line.
Wait, so let's say there's no hole here. He's in a mikvah, and the mikvah is full, and he goes in, and it goes over the top, and then it goes back in.
How does it go back in?
No problem.
How does it go back in?
The sides are sloped, whatever. Who knows?
So then it didn't go out. That's fine.
Well, here if it goes out and comes back in, it's also the same.
It doesn't come back in.
Right.
Why would it come back in?
So what's the problem? Just because some of it is going out?
Some of it's going out.
Yeah, that's Zechel.
I'm reading you halacha right now. Mikvah shall make a shavim shenifrat zachem miksalov aman yotzim derech hasedek. Im nisharu bo memsa achar sheyetzu ktsasom sha'ara sedek. There's enough. The water level has 40 saw below the sedek kosher. V'im lav posel mishum dablei zoichlim vein mikvah metar bezoichlim. Even though that you went into the mikvah before it drained.
So if up to that hole is 40 saw.
I'm not finished yet. And that's what the Machaber says. The Ramah v'yesh machmirim afilum yisharu memsa ala sedek. Even if there's going to be memsa until the sedek, it's still no good. V'yesh lachush ledevreim lechatchila v'lista masedek. There's a machlokes on this issue. You know whether it's called zoichlim or not. But even if you're toiveling in the part that's not zoichel, could probably is a problem. Water that's moving, even though it's kosher rainwater, it's not standing water. A mikveh has to be standing water. So according to some poskim, even though it naturally would be standing, and the only reason why the water is going out is because you're toiveling, So that would make it into Zoichlin. Most places can hold that if it would stay by its own devices, it would stay where it is, it would not go anywhere. So then that's not called Zoichlin. That's like a guy taking out with a cup. That's not natural schila, and natural schila is not a problem. And this is nowadays when you'll go to a mikveh, we'll just give you a tour of the mikveh. There's in one place there's a metal pipe that goes down to the floor, and if you'll take a look, you'll see underneath that pipe, the floor of the mikveh is lower than the rest of the mikveh. And what's going on over there is that the water drains to that little hole, and that little hole holds less than gimel lugim, and that pipe that you see is actually a vacuum. The way that they take water out of the mikveh is with a vacuum, because they don't want to have any kind of a drain, what we call a natural drain, which is done with gravity, because that would have a leakage problem if it's leaking. So how do they get water out without having a leakage problem? Use a vacuum. So that's what there is. That metal pipe is actually a vacuum pipe to take the water out of the mikveh, and underneath it there's a little puddle that holds less than gimel lugim, far less than gimel lugim, so that the whole mikveh can be dry, and you should never have a problem, even if you didn't get every last drop out of it being she'uben.
Is that where those floating filters are?
It's usually near there. Usually they put all the piping in one place.
The floating filter recycles inside the mikvah. Otherwise, why is there a problem with zochalim?
No, it does. That's 100% true. It does. Everything is done in the mikveh.
Oh.
So they never left.
Wait, so in this one, does this show it here?
You see, look at this. Look at this mikveh over here. There is the black line.
That's this pipe.
That pipe which you see, I'm not sure what that pipe is. That one actually looks like that's the heating, the thermometer. I'm not sure. It could be that you're talking about. I can't see the bottom of it. But go to on that wall. Yeah, that's one hole. Now look on top.
That's below the water level.
That's right, and that's higher than the water level. I don't know what that one is. The third one is. I can't figure it out. It doesn't look like a regular hole. On top of the one that's below the water level. What's on top of it? Go higher, above the banister. What is that?
I don't know.
It doesn't look like a hole because it doesn't have the white caulking around it. I don't know what it is exactly.
Maybe that is drainage if it goes too high or something.
What?
Maybe that is a drain if it goes too high.
Yeah. Okay. Nowadays they have the way that they fill the water, the mikvahs up. Actually, they have, just make a statement. Most of the time, the rabbis are always screaming about the problems of modern technology, that they cause all kinds of halachic problems. One of the advantages of modern technology is that in some mikvahs, I know that they already have done this, that they have a electronic eye, like a laser on the ceiling that measures the water level, by the height of it. And when it reaches a certain height, it turns off the water to fill it up. They don't even have a float, nothing inside the mikveh. It's all done by electronic external things. That's a new mahalach. It used to be that there was actually a meter that measured the amount of cubes of water that went into the mikveh. All right. Anyways, just for your information, while we're looking at the mikvahs, taking a tour, exactly that square that you're talking about. What is that square? There's one square, then go to the left of it, there's another square. Why do they make the mikvahs with these squares? Each one of those squares holds a sheer mikvah of water on top of it. And that's because of some poskim are afraid that if you tovel on steps, then there could be a problem of ketafris. It's a shita de rechaim, which most poskim don't hold of that. And there are people who are scared of going underwater, so they want to have landings at different levels so that people could be comfortable even at a higher level or a lower level. I'm not sure what you want to call it exactly.
I thought that was for the people who bring their kids. So
yeah, okay.
The shallow end and the deep end.
That's what it is, but that's ladies mikvah too.
Taller and shorter people.
Yeah. So, but what's the big deal? If you know how to swim, this whole thing is irrelevant, right? This is only for people who are scared of water. All right.
If
Anyway.
you go to the mikveh and you see that the water is at the bottom of the shoferes hanod, should one not go into that mikveh because of the zochlin problem?
I'll tell you. What's your choice?
Go back to the other picture. You go back to the previous picture.
What's your choice? Just tell me something, Shlomo. What's your choice?
I mean, for
Not
a man,
to go to mikvah altogether.
For a man, yeah. For women, it's something else.
Yeah, for a woman, that's will be a serious issue. Tell them not to get out of there. Yeah, but for a man, so in the Minchas Yitzchak, I can't remember which chelik it is. He has a tshuva, and he wants to say that b'diavad, even for a man, possibly you could be saimach that if you table and zeichlim that it's kosher. But it's a machlokes hapaiskim, so it's definitely better than nothing. But it should be plugged up. That's all I can tell you. I don't know in Shevet Halevi, it's actually a fascinating thing. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but Shevet Halevi in the mikveh, the plugs which they use, which they usually, I don't know what the cheshbon is. Usually the plugs are in the mikveh, but the plugs that they use, if you touch them with your hands, you're not going to be able to clean your hand off. Like the rubber comes off in your hand. And I wonder if they made it like that so people shouldn't touch it. I don't know. But one of the reasons that they plug it up is because they heat the mikvos. And if you're going to have it open, so that you end up having to heat the mikveh in the oitzer, which is very expensive and for no reason. But I understand if the water is in a water exchange, so then you're going to have to heat that extra 40 saw of water for no reason. All right. Anyways, let's just get back to where we're supposed to be. All right. Now the Rosh over here, the Rosh says the following. There's three different shittas, maybe actually four different shittas of what the Shveres Hanoid accomplished. So the Rash and the Rav, they both say the same thing. Iruv mikvahs, mikvah chaser betzad mikvah shalim, inami esrim sa ve'esrim sa. Both of them are Shveres Hanod will work for. The one that's missing is Shuvim. Why doesn't the Rash or the Rav say Shuvim? Now the Rosh actually does say Shuvim. So there's some that want to suggest that it won't work to be Matayr Shuvim. It'll only work to make it into Arboim Sa, but it's not going to go and make it into Matayr Shuvim. The Shito Shulchan Aruch and the Ma'aseh of Rav Rishonim is that Avada it does do Shuvim too, and the reason why Shuvim isn't mentioned is because you don't need it for Shuvim or Shveres Hanoid. You need less than Shveres Hanoid for Shuvim because Shuvim is only the Rabbanon, which we'll see. Maybe we'll look at it in Shulchan Aruch in a minute. But that's the Rosh says one thing, the Rash and the Rav say something else, and then the Rav says that the only thing that Shveres Hanoid can do is it can be machsher a mikveh chaser al yad a mikveh shalim, but it cannot be machsher two mikvahs of chaf.
Why?
Why? Oh, so I spent this whole time over here was to try to explain to you why is that. So the question is, what could it do? So this idea that you knock down a wall, which Sheffer seems to think is a davar pashit, to me is a very big chiddush. The Ma'aseh, you have a wall, it's two different domains. Well, what kind of business is this to say that there's no wall there? I find it difficult to say that you could create a mikvah when you don't have Arboim Misah. If you're going to have Arboim Misah, if you already have Arboim Misah, just to be machsher another mikvah, So there you could say it's like a nispach. It's a seif of it. It's an extension of it. But to create from 2 20s to make a 40, that's a very big chiddush. We don't paskin like the Rav Yo. We paskin that it can do everything. But I'm just pointing out that the idea of what Shveres Hanod does in creating place is a chiddush gadol. They can create place. That's the coup that I just wanted to share with you. Okay.
Well, let's say you have a very long, shallow pool that's 2 inches high, but it's wide enough that there's 40 sun.
Yeah.
Is that called a single mikvah?
It's a kosher mikvah, chatchila.
Kosher mikvah. Even though the whole
for
thing,
you, it's for a keli or something.
the whole thing is kosher Shveres Hanod.
Oh, it's all the
Part
Shveres
of it
Hanod.
is Shveres Hanod.
What is the Shveres Hanod?
The height of the whole thing is Shveres Hanod.
What do I care? Can you be less than a Shveres Hanod?
So why is it different than if part of it's Shveres Hanod than if the whole
No,
thing?
because it's all in one place. There, it's all in one place. It's all in one place. Shveres Hanod is connecting different places, but if it's all in one place, we don't care how shallow it is.
If there's Shveres Hanod, then it's all one place, isn't it?
No,
The two ends of this mikvah are further apart than the two sides of the wall.
you know what, Peretz? You answer the question. Why do I have? If one, I have to get rid of a wall. One, I don't. It's one is one place, and one you want to create it. You want to make it like one place. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Okay, I just want to finish this off. I want to do this mission again next week. I want to just finish off. If I have 2 minutes to go overtime, there's a machlokes in the end of the Mishnah about things that are briyos minamayim if they can stop the connection. And the Shitas HaBeis Yosef is something which is very difficult to understand. Shita HaBeis Yosef is that a person can actually toivel in things that are briyos minamayim, these kind of bugs and worms that are created out of the water. I don't know what that means exactly, but it doesn't make much of a difference. And they're called like water, and you can toivel in them. Even though they're called water, you can toivel in them. That doesn't mean that they're not mamay in Shveres Hanod. If you have them in the mikvah, in the hole that's between the two mikvahs, even though they're water-like, I don't know what word to use, but they're water-like, but still it obstructs the flow of water from one to the other. And I believe that this is similar to saying if you had ice over there, it could be that would also be a problem, even though it's briosa min hamayim. But lamayim, so the water, there is no water flow between the two things. So how can you say it's one place? No, so from what we learned today, this concept should be very understandable, because over here you need the fluidness of the flow of water between the two different receptacles, and if you don't have that, so then it's going to be mamayit. Okay, and that would be the hezber in that shita. Okay, Mitzvah, next week we'll do the next mission.
For one of my rebbeim a long time ago, it's Mary Hyman from Rockaway. He said over a story about a psak from Rav Moshe that there was a woman that had an infection on her face.
What did she have?
An infection on her face. She couldn't toivel her
Okay,
face.
yeah.
And he found a company in Baltimore that makes things out of shark skin, and she made a shark skin mask.
Yeah, there's a true with English Moshe about that. Yeah, and not only that, there what was used for many years, and I know in Bet Shemesh they stopped using it. This is a very common problem. There are people that have very sensitive ears, and if water gets into their ears, they can have all kinds of problems. You know, and it's not just the hearing. There's all kinds of problems. So what they created, well, this was done for many years, probably about 30 or 40 years. This was common. What they created was they had oil that was made out of fish that they would put on their ears, and the water would be repelled by the oil,
Right.
and it wouldn't go in. And since it's briosa min hamayim, it wasn't the chatzitza, it worked for the tefillah. But in Beit Shemesh, I spoke to one of the Balaniyats in Beit Shemesh about this issue, and they stopped using it. It seems that oil has a putrid smell, and they couldn't clean the mikveh afterwards.
Probably cod
So-
liver oil.
I don't know what it was, but Baruch Hashem, I don't have problems with my ears, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's 100%. This idea is all right. Have a good night.